Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Vox Vomitus, otherwise known as Word Vomit. I am your host, Jennifer Ann Gordon, the author of the Kindle award-winning novel Beautiful, Frightening, and Silent, as well as the Hotel series and Pretty Ugly. Joining me today, as always, is my Vox Vomitus vixen and the best co-hostess with the mostest, Allison Martine, author of The Bourbon Books, which includes the award-winning novel Dibs, Since September, Move On Melinda, and Climb the Salmon Ladder. Ooh. And now, I'm about to say something I never in my life thought I was going to say. Allison, take a beat.
I'm fanning myself.
Go. Our guest today is the one, the only, the New York Times #1 best-selling author, Charlaine Harris. We are here to talk about her series, the Gunny Rose series, and her new book, The Serpent in Heaven. But you all may know her from a little-known series called the Sookie Stackhouse series, which may have inspired a show that was on for a little while called, what was that show called again? Was it True Blood?
True Blood.
True Blood. I've heard of it. Yeah, I've heard of it. I've watched an episode or all of them.
Or binge a couple seasons here or there.
I might have been binge watching episodes of True Blood while on vacation in the Czech Republic at one point in time. True story.
Were they dubbed in Czech?
No, I was just watching them on like Netflix.
I wanted to hear Tara in Czech. That would have been amazing.
It would have been.
It's like, oh my God, amazing. Charlaine, welcome to Vox Vomitus. Tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit about yourself and then a little bit about the Gunny Rose series before we dive in with our hard-hitting questions.
Your probing questions.
We have yet to probe anything.
If it's going to happen, it's going to be today.
Well, I've been writing for a long time. This is my 42nd year as a published writer. So I've seen the industry change and morph and double back on itself and do all kinds of contortions. And yet here I am still standing. Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
So these books are my latest series. I have written other things besides the Sookie Stackhouse novels, which I'm really proud of.
Because there's Aurora Teagarden.
The Cemetery Girl trilogy. Yeah. There's just like
Midnight Texas. You're like looking through and it's pages of just series of books. And then there's a whole section of standalone books. If we were to list off everything we do that you've written, that would be our entire show.
Exactly. I have a little list here, like my cheat sheet, and I was like, it's already too long to list because I was just like, and the Cemetery Girl trilogy with Christopher Golden.
Well, if you live long enough and you write a book a year, that adds up. I have friends who write 2 or 3 books a year, and I'm in awe of that.
I'm exhausted thinking about that. I almost just collapsed onto the table.
A book and a short story or 2 a year is about my limit.
I feel like sometimes short stories for me take longer than actually writing a novel because
they do. They're harder.
They're short stories.
They're so hard. Every time I write a novel, I go into it thinking I'm writing a short story. Yeah. And then it just obviously, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's 96,000 words.
That is not a short story anymore.
But when I think about writing a short story, I can't. I mean, I can. I've done it like a few times. No, this is not a pity party. This is just. But they're hard. No, but they're hard to do. I love that you just said they're hard. Why do you think they're hard to do?
Because you have to be so concise. You can't waste any words and you can't waste any time, and you have to be like a drill bit. I have 2 of my friends write award-winning short stories, so the bar is really high.
Well, you don't want to hang out with them anymore because then you're just like. Now you have more awards for more short stories, and I'm over here just cranking out novels, and you guys are just like, look, I wrote 5,000 words. Here's an award. That's not fair.
Well, you have to have something to aspire to.
That's true. Okay.
And I want to be a better short story writer.
I love that. Well, I mean, there's a reason why our podcast is called Vox Vomitus or Word Vomit. Allison and I are verbose both in real life and sometimes on
Really?
paper. Yeah, just
You amaze me.
My mom used to tell me Reader's Digest version, Allison, because I would talk too much and tell her that. That's why I learned it, because she's just like, you're taking forever. And my husband does the same thing. It's like, does this story have a point? I'm like, I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
He's probably still waiting for me to get
I'm world building.
Yes,
I'm world
that's
building.
right. You have to have deep background.
Yes, yes. And I used to write short stories when I was younger too. And I felt like I was good at that. And then I got older, I realized, no, I just thought I was good at that because my standard was really, really low. So they were fine for high schooler or maybe college. And then I went, this is not my strength. And I'm gonna be over here.
Yeah.
Swimming through the words.
So the Gunny Rose series, when I got the press release from your publicist, she talked about how you were going in a new direction with it.
Yeah.
So can we talk a little bit about how it started, like how it started and how it's going now?
Well, it started as a short story, actually, that I wrote for.
This is the fourth book. As
Well,
that at you,
I wrote
you know
first. I wrote a short story. It was for a charity anthology that Sean Speakman edited, and I thought I'll just do whatever I want to, because this is for charity, and
For charity.
I can just let myself be free on this. And I really liked the character I developed for that short story, and I thought, okay, maybe I could expand on this a little bit. And eventually, when the Sookie series came to an end, and my publisher kicked me to the curb, I thought, well, okay, I've got to write something else. So I wrote the first Gunny Rose and got a new publisher, which was just super.
That's amazing. So was the short story then, did it feature all of the characters or was it just Lisbeth?
No.
So who did it feature?
Just Lisbeth.
Just Lisbeth, okay.
And she does really heroic things while suffering from concussion through this story. And I just thought, she's just
all been there.
Yeah, sure. But she's just incredibly tough and incredibly focused.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
and I can imagine the hardest thing Lisbeth ever did was wear a dress, because that's seriously the most difficult thing. She'll shoot people, she'll defend people, but you make her not wear trousers. She's like, this is the worst. Why do I have to do this? And I right there with her. Like, seriously, when I want to wear sneakers and pants, don't make me wear a dress.
There are days that's the only thing that we'll do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a dress right now.
We're so proud of you.
I'm a dress person. I will admit I'm wearing slippers though.
It's cold.
It's cold here in Britannia. But
yes,
it's cold in Britannia. Well, I got to read the first 3 Gunny Rose books, and then when I heard it was a different direction, when I read before I even got the book and I just saw the blurb that it was going to be about Felicia, I'm like, okay, well that makes sense, because there's so much that we didn't know yet about Felicia, that she had so much hidden, that I was like, okay, I'm excited to see where this is going. But it is a departure, because Lisbeth, for people who haven't gotten a chance to read the books yet, she's this really strong woman. She's young, but she's still an adult. And then Felicia is her half sister, who is of questionable age, because that kind of
her age is very uncertain.
Mm-hmm.
when Eli and Lisbeth rescue her from Juarez, and when she gets to the school and she's away from her father's sphere of influence and the spells he laid on her, she starts growing quite a bit. It turns out she's about 15. It's
like, so you're not 10?
So have you ever heard of, and I'm going to nerd out for a second about something different. There is, if you've ever watched soap operas, there's something called soap opera rapid aging syndrome.
Oh, rapid aging syndrome?
When characters have children, and the children are babies and toddlers, but then when that becomes boring, the kids go away for like a vacation and come back as like 14 and 15-year-olds. They're always teenagers.
I didn't mind do that.
The parents never age at all, but all of a sudden we're like, how did that 31-year-old woman, now she has a 16-year-old, but she had that baby 2 years ago. But it's called soap opera rapid aging syndrome.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, he did like a reverse soap opera rapid aging syndrome spell on her. And then when it wore off,
he wanted her to stay small.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
well, partially at least, so she could steal for him. And also
and not have as terrible things happen to her.
and not have terrible. And yeah, he did have a good motive, partially at least.
Yeah, partially. I want to believe that. Like,
Yeah.
every time she was like, well, he was drunk, but I hope he didn't want me to get, like,
Raped?
assaulted in the street.
Yes.
Like, little girl, she's just running around. She's just another urchin versus, oh, hey, look, beautiful young woman.
Yeah. He was protecting her and saving himself from a lot of trouble.
Yes.
Not that her father was a saint, but, may he rest in peace, because he was dead when the book started. The very first book, already dead.
Yeah.
But I know I personally, when I was reading through, I loved getting to feel the different places and felt like I was going on a tour of this world you created. So for people who are like, what are you talking about? Thinking True Blood is set more or less in our current day and age.
Yeah.
The Gunny Rose books, it's this alt history where it feels kind of Old West gunslinger sometimes, but there is electricity. Sometimes we even get a refrigerator. I just love that. Like, ooh, ice. You're like me. Where's my soda pop? I would like a drink now.
Well, it's in the 30s. It's in the 30s, and World War II is going to loom on the horizon.
Oh, that gave me
It's a little
chills.
different when America isn't really
When
there
America,
anymore.
right?
There's 5 different countries.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was trying to figure out, like, in my math, doing the Rasputin, doing the, like where would we be if this was reality? And I was like, okay, I was thinking late 30s. I tried to, like, make my outfit late 30s today. You can't see it because you can only see from
Oh, I can see the panels here.
Like a little thing. It's more 40s.
40s. That's fair. You can be futuristic from the
And
30s.
futuristic 30s.
But you mentioned Rasputin, so I love it. Elizabeth is going to get people to the Holy Russian Empire, where, like, Rasputin is hailed as, like, yes, he's still dead, but he is hailed as the one who has saved their Tsar because his blood is what's necessary to keep this guy alive.
Yeah.
And that becomes, like, a huge thing. But it's just weird for me because I'm aware of Rasputin, and I have to quote a line from Angel where there was a scene set in the 50s where a vampire's like, I was Rasputin's lover. And I just love that line every time. That he's like, I was Rasputin's lover. And now it's like, oh, Rasputin had a bunch of bastard kids, and those bastard kids are now valuable because of their blood.
They got the blood.
They got the blood. It's always about the blood. But
It always is. It always is with you, Charlaine. It's always about the blood.
It always is about the blood.
like, Charlaine,
what happened to you as a child that made you? This is like the deep probing question when we get all serious. Charlaine, as a kid, did you have something traumatic happen to you with blood?
I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
I was just joking, but
that was pre-seatbelt, and my mother had to stop suddenly, and I went into the windshield.
What?
No.
And I was, really remarkably bloody. And I don't remember any of this, but my dad almost fainted. And she took me to the doctor, and he said, Jean, I'm going to take tiny stitches because she's a girl.
Oh.
And I thought, well, if I was a guy, would I look like Frankenstein?
I was just going to say, you would look like Frankenstein's monster if you were a boy. Like, we don't care.
No, they do say stuff like that because I have stitches down here. My right side. I have stitches here and I have stitches here. This was from tripping over my dad's foot in a carpet store, and this was a dog bite. And I remember I don't remember this, but when this happened, I was 13, and I remember the surgeon, like, doing special stitches and all this stuff, and he's like, some of the best supermodels have scars, and, like, trying to make it like a good thing. I'm like, first off, I'm never gonna be tall enough to be a supermodel, but how bad is my face? That's really what
good try, but
how bad is my
children
face?
Scream when they see me? Or is it...
The answer is yes, but yeah. But I mean, like, I had my hand covered like this because the dog's jaws were here and here, so I thought like my whole face was torn. I was just here and like one part here, but I thought all my face was gone. And then when I finally could see, I'm like, oh, that's not nearly as bad. I thought I was gonna be like Two-Face with just one, or Phantom of the Opera doing something like that.
Oh my God, these are also more traumatic facial stories than I have. All I have is, like, I picked up a baby chipmunk when I was a kid and it bit me in the chin. It ripped off a chunk of my chin. And then my parents were so mad. They were like, now we're going to have to watch you for rabies.
Yeah, you probably have chipmunk rabies.
That's so reassuring.
Like, and I think about it to this day. I'm like, what? Like, when I think about it now, I'm like, shouldn't you have brought me right to the hospital? I got bit in the face by, like, we're just gonna have to watch you. Like, and then I really don't remember a lot after that. Like, did they spray me with like a hose to see if I was scared of water?
Hydrophobia. She's foaming at the mouth.
Once she's foaming at the mouth, then we'll bring her in. But
Jennifer, we're just glad they didn't take you to the pound and check you in for another.
You know, honestly, I'm thankful for that every day.
Yes, we're very glad. But so Charlaine, so you were then bleeding, and they got your little tiny stitches, and then obviously it influenced your writing. But I don't remember lots of tragic car accidents in any of these books, and lots of people getting attacked on the road. Trains. Did you have any train accident? Because that's what happened.
Did you live near train tracks?
Dude, my 7-year-old is like in love with trains, so I can't have him hear that part because then he'll be like,
"Yeah, kids and trains. They love trains."
He's obsessed with trains. Every box that comes into our house becomes a train, and he paints them or colors them so they all look like Amtrak cabbage. I don't really know what cabbage is. He's obsessed. But yeah, nothing bad has happened on his, but some bad things happen in the A Longer Fall book. I don't know why I say A Longer Fall, but the second book where we end up in Dixie and have some mysterious boxes and some things going very interestingly, thanks to our friend Felix and his bag of tricks.
Felix is really unlikable.
Oh, I love Felix.
I was just about to say,
I loved him from the beginning.
Really?
I was about to say, I wish. Actually, I love that Felix is whatever sexuality he is, but like I have a huge crush on him.
You can have a crush on him.
Huge.
Wow.
I would be Lucy.
We might have problems.
I would definitely. I mean, I know. I would definitely marry him.
Okay, I'll let him know.
Well, so we were talking a little bit before the show because Jen and I can't help it. We see somebody with a Russian name, and they automatically turn into Alexander Skarsgård because he's played characters like that. We can't help it, but that's not really who Eli looks like. I don't think that's accurate. So who would you cast as Eli? And so people are like, "Who's Eli?" Because he's not really in Serpent in Heaven. He's in the first 3 books, and he is the love interest, an occasional really like nerd, tall, gangly guy.
Yeah, he's not altogether likable.
Not when you first meet him, no.
Yeah, he's actually just not. But
no,
but she loves him.
I mean, good for you, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I don't usually do a lot of casting in my head because the reality is never obvious to me. The casting, though, I've got to say, a lot of times it just turns out great. And I'm happy with it, but nobody looks like the people in my head.
That's fair. We always also joke that by the time you write it and it gets published and someone picks up rights to it, the actors who you had in your head when you wrote it are all way too old anyway because people don't stay that look. So I always joke, if you want to see who you're going to have next, just check out the Disney Channel.
Yeah, you've got to be watching Disney and like Nickelodeon.
How would they look in 5 years?
How would they look in 5 to 10 years?
Yeah,
maybe they've got some shows. Because every time like we talk to authors, everyone's always like, they say the same thing. They're like, well, it's like so-and-so, except 10 years younger. Because we don't know any like 20-year-old or teenage actors.
I know a few now. Disney Channel.
I know. I'm always like, remember those kids from Gossip Girl? Like that.
Yeah, they're all old now too. Gossip Girl. It's more like, Gossip Great Aunt at this point. So they're all like our age.
That hurts.
Yeah,
I know.
It's all right.
Well,
go ahead, Charlaine.
The books have been optioned. But they've been optioned twice already and nothing's come of it. So most often that's the result.
Well, and that's always frustrating because then you're like, I'm excited to see what you do with it. Oh, you're going to put it in that drawer. That's not as exciting as what I thought was going to happen. You actually do something with it.
You're like, oh, I thought this was going to be a huge like Netflix thing. And you're like, you just took it away from other people so they couldn't buy it. Oh,
that happens a lot.
Yes. But it did not happen with your Sookie Stackhouse series.
No, nor the Aurora Teagardens, nor the Midnights.
Yeah, so it's happened for you before. It'll happen again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my dork thing now because we asked this before we went live, just kind of half jokingly, but I'm going to preface this for people who might be watching this or listening to it for the first time. Allison and I might have, as she said before, a fascination with Alexander Skarsgård, who played Eric in the True Blood series. So we fake cast him in every book that we read. Doesn't matter. They're like, blonde man.
Called blonde man? Oh, it's Alexander Skarsgård.
It doesn't matter where it is. So to Charlaine, before we started, before I even said, did you ever go on set? What was it like? I want to know those things. I said, have you ever touched Alexander Skarsgård? And you...
I said, yes, I've hugged him.
You've hugged him.
Yeah.
And what was it like? Say it slow.
Oh, okay. I will.
Say
it was like a Great Dane cavorting with a very fat Chihuahua.
Oh, yeah.
I love the cavorting too.
Cavorting is such a great word.
Like,
he's really a nice guy. He's got a great sense of humor.
Oh, that's good when we hear that, because sometimes we have crushes on fictional people who are based on an actor, and then you find out the actor is horrible in real life. And like, well, well, forget it. I can't be thinking about you and casting in my book now because you're a jerk and no one wants to play with you anymore.
Yeah, there. That's what I found out too.
Oh, well, don't.
But most of them are just. Most of them are super. No, I won't name names, but most of them are just super nice.
So what was it like the first time you ever went onto a set of, was it True Blood? Was that the first time you went on to a set?
Yeah.
What was that? Was it just like coming out of your body and like disassociating and going, that's my work, but not my work?
It was it was like that. They were filming at Lake Bistineau, Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
And I drove down, my husband and I drove down, and I think my assistant went with us. And there were just trailers and trailers and trucks and people and all sorts of equipment. And they had to direct me to a parking spot. And my husband said, "This is all your fault."
This is all on you.
Yeah, this is on you, girl.
We're disrupting this entire town, and you're like, "You're welcome."
Yeah,
I'm sure they were so sad that they had a
more
whole
quiet town.
Yeah.
It was really a wonderful day, though. I learned a lot, and I got to observe a lot of things that I never thought I would. And it was that whole experience was a big learning curve for me.
Was it easier then when did you go visit the sets of the other shows when you did like Aurora Teagarden or the Midnight? You're like, okay, I'm an old hat now. I know all this. Nothing fazes.
Well, I wasn't as terrified.
Oh, okay, that's good.
It took the fear factor away.
That's good,
which was
then you're
really
not,
good.
Shaking when you hug people, because then they're like, "Are you having a seizure?" I'm just really scared. Okay,
I'm just scared one of you will look at me and talk to me, and I won't know what to say.
What if you ask me a question about your character, and even though I invented it, I won't know the answer?
I don't know.
And sometimes I don't, because the characters as they're written for TV are quite different.
Yeah.
Well, and
from
we
the
had
characters
mentioned
as I wrote them.
Well, yeah, and I'd mentioned Tara before, and Tara is very different in the books. And I'd said, I understand, because I've talked to people about, why do they make changes between books and either a TV or film adaptation? I'm like, well, first off, Sookie is most of the time in her head because she hears voices, and if she's all up in her head, they'd have to do it all voiceover. So they need somebody for her to talk to.
Yeah,
we're a stronger best friend character, so that made sense to me to make that change.
Oh, they had to. The books are all from Sookie's point of view in the first person, and they
very internal,
which I
love.
But they had to make the other characters have a live and move and have their being.
Yes.
For us to see, because Anna couldn't be in every single scene.
I don't know. She's pretty talented.
It's not her talent. It's her. It's her exhaustion level.
Person.
Like just pumping her full of more caffeine. Is Anna Paquin, you're still needed on set. I just did 5 scenes. We need more. It's like then she ends up like
in every scene.
Yeah. Well, then you end up with like an Orphan Black situation where Tatiana Maslany is all the characters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's and a lot of camera work. So it's probably best that you just write other characters and have those people fill out and do all that stuff. But I mean, I'm loving with the Gunny Rose, the cast of characters you have, even if you say people aren't maybe supposed to like Felix, and we liked Felix. Felix
I didn't know
introduced
he
in the
was
second
supposed to
book.
like Felix at all.
I liked him, but he was definitely brusque when he was first introduced, and
Yeah.
very much so like, okay, so he's not the first partner that Lisbeth has met, because there was a first partner that does not do so well in the first book. And so Eli, when they interact again, he's got this new guy here, and the new guy is not exactly happy to see Lisbeth either. So it's not like they were instantly chums and ready to just go to bat
Right.
with each other. And Lisbeth has some reasons to maybe not like some of the things that Felix does, like bring people back from the dead. So that's kind of, I
Yeah.
don't
It's
know,
a
maybe that bothers
skill
people.
that it is needed sometimes. I would
Yeah.
just say that.
Yeah.
I think so. I like Felix a lot because I feel like I love him, but I don't like him.
Oh.
And those are my favorite characters, is when I'm just
Okay.
like, you are very unlikable, but I would probably step in front of a bus for you, and I don't know why.
Seemed like the thing to do.
I know, like,
Okay.
I guess I would, like, do some weird magic for you.
That's a
Felix, if you needed
very
me to.
interesting reaction.
Well, and I think I feel kind of similarly about, we have to talk about Peter, because he's a big character in this fourth book. And Peter, the number of times I wanted to smack him in the first couple times we met
Yep.
him. But Peter is this young, let's just say maybe impetuous kind of character who maybe has some growing up to do yet, because he's still pretty young. And I think that's one of the things that's also, it's a cultural shift, because we're dealing with, you said it's in the 30s and it's a different situation, but talking about people courting and getting married and they're in their teens, and I'm going,
And you're
no.
like 15, 14, like.
Yeah.
Charlotte, that's right. That's how we do it.
That's what happened a lot, especially during the Depression.
Mhm.
And I will say this, and this obviously doesn't happen now, but my husband is younger than I am. And when we met, I was like, oh my God, you're so young. And he said, well, we age different in Russia.
That's smooth.
Wasn't that smooth? Like, I look back on it
Was
now,
he
and
just
I'm
trying
like,
to? Was he just hitting on you? Because I
No,
feel like he was
definitely
just
not.
trying to.
no,
Trying
I
to
don't
be
know.
like-
He definitely was not. But like looking back, like if I wrote it as a rom-com, I'd write him as hitting on me. But he wasn't. He was very sincere, because I was like, I'm from New Hampshire. Like, we're cold and brittle and terrible here, and when we like said our ages, and it was just like so funny that he was like, no, in Russia we age different. And I was
About
like,
right.
Sure.
sure. I'm like, and I think I said something so stupid like, I've read Anna Karenina.
That makes you Russian too, just by virtue of the And
Yeah.
I've seen The Great. I'm now a history expert of the time when. No, I don't think most of that show is accurate. I just like it anyway.
No, I believe when I
fun.
said I've read Anna Karenina, like the look on his face was like, oh. And I just
Like one of those. Okay.
What about Dr. Shavako?
Like,
I think that was probably our second conversation, and he was just like, no.
well, Charlaine, I wanted to ask you, and I will say I am a speculative fiction writer. I know we always introduce me as the rom-com writer, but I also write speculative fictions. They're just not out yet. But I love dystopias, and I just adore alt history. And I wanted to know, what was it about why you decided what point in history was going to be the turning point that made America just basically collapse and fragment into these different areas with Dixie and Texoma and the Holy Russian Empire that would be where I am now in sunny California. What was it about that you decided that that's where it's going to change?
There were a lot of really bad things happening in America then. There were the Spanish flu.
Mm-hmm.
There was the stock market collapse. There was the Dust Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
There were lots of bad things happening. And I thought, well, what if Roosevelt wasn't president? And truly, there was an assassination attempt on him in Florida prior to his being sworn in. At that time, they didn't automatically say the vice president would step in if the president died.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't
When
know
did that
that.
happen? I wonder when. Then I wonder if after that they're like, we need to have a contingency.
We should have
We need to have a plan
here right now.
So anyway, I just say, okay, the assassination attempt was successful,
Yeah.
and then the vice president dies of the flu.
And then
So
it goes down. Yeah.
everything just shatters. All the stresses and strains can't hold together anymore, and everything cracks apart.
Did you ever feel like while you were writing these books and then watching what's been going on in the world the past 10 years that you had somehow created it and manifested it into reality?
Don't blame Charlaine for this.
Not my fault.
Well, I'm just saying, we mentioned Paul Tremblay earlier. We asked him that about his book Survivor Song, which was
That
about
was
a
his
pandemic.
fault.
And
Oh,
he's
yeah.
like, and here again, we've all done this where we write something and then something happens and we're like, bad timing, bad timing,
Yeah.
bad timing, bad timing. Here's my book. Sorry, everybody. But
It did feel like I wasn't trying to write about
no.
the current problems in our country, but it ended up being kind of prescient.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Yes.
that's a great word because I never felt like I was reading about our country and like veiled anything about
Yeah.
what was really happening, but I just kept thinking it just felt so real for even like for right now.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about it so much because I love I'm not a spec fiction writer per se, but I love alternate history. Allison knows this. We dork out about it a lot because usually we have these long conversations of what is the moment you think in the timeline, and we try to pinpoint it as two non-history nerds trying to figure it out. But your book felt really now. It felt current. But it also, I mean, hence I'm wearing like a little vintage dress. It did still feel like I was, in a way, reading historical fiction, which I just loved so much.
Oh, good. Everything worked out then.
You're like, that was the plan.
Well, and I was laughing because I was early pages yet because it's early in the fourth book when one of the students there at the Rasputin Academy comes down with, and that, okay, Rasputin Academy, so it's named after Rasputin, but that's where the Grigori, who are the magicians, go. And while it's supported by the Holy Russian Empire, people from all over are sent there because some places are like, yeah, we still like to stone and burn our witches. So best if you've got magical blood, get on out of there.
Britannia.
Yeah, Britannia, you guys. Well, you know, Salem witch trials, you guys.
I know, I'm
finish your
like,
thing.
on brand.
Yeah, totally on brand. But we've got Spanish flu showing up, and it was so funny because I read that and went, "Oh, I need to schedule my children's flu shots." And I paused and went and called the pediatrician. So guess where they get to go tomorrow? It's, hey, got all three of them. And get them their flu shots because it's like, yeah, we're still dealing with this kind of stuff and watching like kids die, and it's like it's not the Spanish flu now; it's flu strain A or flu strain B or good old COVID.
Good old COVID.
Good old COVID. But hey, I won't give away the scene, but I love there's a scene where masking really does save a life, and not from germs. But there's a certain scene where little Miss Felicia is wearing a mask, and with some help, she manages to get out of a situation because she's like, peace out, and she's gone. And mask saves lives, guys, especially if you're possibly being stalked by people who might want to kill you. Just saying.
Exactly.
I mean, that's not why we're supposed to wear masks now. It's for germs. COVID's trying to kill us too, and so is the flu.
I always think, like, why didn't I wear a mask to the grocery store forever? Because I was always at the grocery store, like, seeing somebody I know going like, oh crap, I'm in a messy bun, no lipstick, and it's somebody like Jennifer, and I'm like, oh.
No, I'm Deborah.
So, yeah.
Like, I don't know who you are. Just don't let the recognition ever hit your eyes. Just hide the panic.
Look away. Look away.
Mm-hmm. That's all right. I was at the park one time, and it was cold, and it was early during. It was during like the summer of COVID, so people were at parks, but I think we were like, okay, outside and stay distant. And I saw another family that went to our preschool, and they didn't recognize me right away because my hood up and my sunglasses. And then they're like, we thought you were the Unabomber. I'm like, I don't know the Unabomber because I had my big sunglasses and a hood and a mask. I'm like, well, if I want to rob a bank on my way home, I'm just ready to go with my children.
With your kids.
These are my accomplices. Don't mind them screaming and hitting each other. We're not really.
They're here just to carry the bags of money.
Bags of money. That, and I have a penchant for food and books, and now I need to know how to make Irish soda bread, which I've never made before. But after it's like,
I watched the Great British Baking Show, so I got very excited.
Me too. But Irish soda bread is easy to make
because so there's no yeast, but it still. I'm trying to even picture it. It's not like matzah. right?
No.
It's
No, it rises. It's
okay.
the baking soda that makes it rise.
And it's very airy and light.
And it's
Yeah.
airy. Okay. Because
And when you cut it open, it has a nice crisp crust, but then it's flaky and amazing. Look, I'm like Paul Hollywood from.
You are. That just
Except
sounds
nice.
so authentic.
I know it does. It can't be claggy. It can't have a soggy bottom.
no soggy bottoms.
And no soggy bottom.
I know. We needed to have like an English to American English translation. Like, what does that even mean? Like, my daughter, she's always like, maca. What's maca? I'm like, it's mocha. They just don't say it the same way over here. She's like, why do they call it maca? I'm like, I don't know.
What is maca? It sounds like a religious rite.
It could
Yeah.
be. It could be. And I
It's
think
a very solemn prayer.
when they bring it to the gingham altar, they say the prayer of maca. Please eat my food and give me a handshake and don't send me home. I'm still mad because I have not seen the final episode, but I already know who won because somebody retweeted it on Twitter.
Oh, no. I haven't seen the final episode
It's
either.
not
saying
out
anything.
here.
I'm not
until
saying
Friday.
anything.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
like, don't make me take my headphones out.
And I
Do not.
didn't realize.
No.
I didn't realize. No, I'm not gonna say. I thought I had the whole season on Netflix. It wasn't until I didn't have that last episode there. And one of my very good friends is in Suffolk, UK, and she's like, "Well, we don't have the last episode." I'm like, "Well, I think we have all of them." And she said, "If you have it, can you tell me who wins so I can win at the pool at work?" I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna help you cheat." She's like, "It's for money." I'm like, Abigail, no, I'm not doing that. And of course, yes, it was Abigail who wanted to know. I'm like, "No, I won't. I'm not going to help you cheat." And then it turned out I didn't have the episode anyway. So,
Oh, good.
yeah. So hopefully she got to watch live. And now I already know who won, but I'll still watch. And I didn't tell my daughter who's watching with me. So,
Good. So Charlaine, obviously, book 4 in the Gunny Rose series goes to Felicia. So are we going to be staying with Felicia for a while now?
The next book is alternating between Lisbeth and Felicia.
Okay. Because I
very
was
nice.
wondering, I'm like, if we would have to change the series name because Gunny Rose is Lisbeth.
Well,
For
Felicia is a strong second, I think.
Yes.
And I just felt like finding out what was happening to her.
No, it's so cool.
Yeah, I think
And
she
I love
really,
that, like, dark academy, dark academia, like schools where
that's your thing.
that's my thing. Like, stick a bunch of people in a boarding school and something bad happens.
Oh, have you
Love
read
it.
Naomi Novik's Schoolomance series?
I have not.
I
Oh,
know the name,
right
but
up your
I know the
alley.
name too.
Right, Naomi Novik is a great writer, and her
Oh,
latest trilogy is just the school literally tries to kill you.
yes.
a lot of schools feel that way, but I'm glad
does
you're
feel
taking
like
it
that.
literally.
Yeah.
We're going
It's about time to take it literally.
Well, and one of my favorite books, and bring it back to Russian because I don't speak it or read it. I read the first in the Vita Nostra by Marina and Sergei Dyachenko, but only the first one had been translated from Russian to English. So I was like waiting for the next book because I don't speak Russian. I could, like, I don't know, mail it to Roman and tell him to read it to me. Can you read it to me in English, please? How is his Russian? Is it could he read a Russian novel to me? Do you think?
He could, but he would not be pleased.
Like,
He's
nope, thank
well,
you.
his parents still, I mean, his entire family, when we go visit, they only speak Russian.
Okay, so I'm going to mail it to his mom.
All I know are the swear words. Oh, but his mother doesn't know English.
Oh, well, then that's not helpful either. Reading it out loud. But that's a kind of weird, I wouldn't even say dark so much as just really offbeat magic school that's there in Russia. And like even how you find out you're admitted is the most messed up way. There's no Harry Potter getting a letter from an owl kind of stuff. It's way, way worse. So
Ooh.
but I enjoyed that, and I do enjoy the Russian setting, and even though like I can't speak Russian, none of it's in Cyrillic, I don't understand any of it, but I do have this fascination with it. Some of it may come from having watched The Greats, but I love your choice of places. Like when you decided, hey, I'm gonna destroy the United States here, but just for fiction, not in real life.
Not in real life.
How did you decide which places would take over? Was it just like a natural, logical, this is what would probably happen? Or did you have some wish fulfillment?
It seemed natural and logical to me.
Yeah.
Though other people have taken issue with that. But, it seems that if America was weak enough, Mexico would come up from the south, Canada would come down from the north, and then the middle would split up into what seems to me a logical way.
Yeah.
No, looking at the map, it seemed logical to me. And even, I mean, most of my husband's family is in the United States now. I mean, half of them are still in Russia, but all of the ones except for us that are in the United States are all in California.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, well, that does make sense. And I know there's a very large Russian population in many places in the United States because a lot of people work in tech. So where tech is, that's where they are. But yeah, like when I looked at the map, I'm like, that all tracks. That seems right.
And I like how you basically have the royals, the aristocracy living in exile and floating around the Pacific until William Randolph Hearst says, come, I have a castle. and gets them over there. So I love how you're weaving in actual people and saying, here's what they would have probably done. And I go, yeah, that tracks. I can see him doing that and bringing over this exiled aristocracy. And I just love how, I think this is one of the things that makes your book so special is that you weave in the supernatural and the natural, and everybody's just like, yep, this is going on now. Oh, they're vampires and they drink synthetic blood. Okay, that's happening now. It's like, oh, these people, they all have magical powers and wear special vests where they keep their different spells. See, that's what we should have worn, Jen. We should have had little vests with spells.
I tried to wear a vest today, but the shirt that I was going to wear it over, it just did not look good. And my only vest had one little pocket. And it was
spells.
I know. I'm like, and I had this vision of myself like being here and like taking out some like chili powder and throwing it in the air.
You would end up with that in your eyes.
I know.
It would be
maybe you just
your eye all over.
Be a Grigori.
I know. I'm not that coordinated.
No, me neither.
Like, no, can't do it. So it's safe to say, obviously, there's going to be a 5th book in the Gunny Rose
I've already
series.
turned it in.
Okay, that was going to be my.
Do we
next
have a
question.
title?
All the Dead Shall Weep.
Oh, that's.
I'm just imagining the body count already, and I'm going.
It's high. It is quite high.
Okay,
Good.
there we go.
Oh, sorry. How terrible of me. I'm like, good. I'm glad it's high.
I mean, let's be honest here. The very first book starts with basically, hey, here's Gunny and her crew. Yep, they're all dead now. Like 5 minutes into the book. I guess those are not going to be the characters that the adventure's going to happen with because she just killed everybody off, which I'm going, well, that's a good way to start. And you've got poor Gunny going, Lizbeth's left alone and she goes back to her cabin and it's like, yep, I got to go see the relatives of all the people and give them their share because I did complete the mission. So just right off the bat, she's this tough, doesn't let anything stop her, takes on the bandits who took out her party, rescues the people from being sold into slavery, essentially, gets them where they're going. And, it just never lets up for her. So she's either running around, hopefully having a nice cold soda and not having to wear a dress, or then having to deal with, hey, there's more assassination attempts and maybe I have to prevent somebody royal from being shot. Oh, now I've got to prevent somebody else from being shot.
Or maybe I have to shoot somebody else.
Not again.
Again.
Every time. Every time. Well, and I don't want to spoil too much of what's going on in the 4th book, but it's funny how her actions come back and haunt other people and things getting held against her. It's like, so what you're telling me is my sister did this and now you're mad at me because of what my sister did. This doesn't seem quite fair.
Yeah.
But that's life.
That's life.
That's life. And that's, I don't have any sisters, but I know plenty of people who do. And, you hear things like this a lot. Like, oh, somebody thought I was blah, blah, blah because my brother was this way. Or
Yeah.
We get it. So I'm so excited about the next book. You're going to have to come back. Do you know a release date yet? I know you just turned it in, but I know sometimes they're like, whatever's happening, it's coming out and blah, blah, blah of 20.
No, this book got bumped back twice.
Oh, is that because
the one I'm talking about tonight? Okay. It was originally, I thought, supposed to come out in February, where the last Gunny Rose had come out, and then it came out in November. So
there's been a lot, as you said at the very beginning of this, you've seen the industry go up and down and twist and change, and there's been a lot going on behind the scenes, from paper shortages to distribution issues,
editor strikes,
currently
mergers getting blocked in court, all of that. It's kind of crazy. I I have a friend who recently signed a deal, and it's like, well, we didn't even sub to this place on my first book because it didn't exist. So it's like these changing paths, like it's always changing, that a place that published you before, they don't even exist anymore because they got taken over by somebody else, and then that breaks it down, or they don't do this format anymore.
Or an editor leaves, and then
boy.
the client list dissolves, and that's a whole different episode.
Oh, that's happened to me. You know,
yeah. It's happened to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's, I feel like that's something that we as writers, like, we need to talk about it, and we want to talk about it. We need to swear about it and like cry about it, but
drink about it,
but like not in public.
Maybe curse a little bit.
Maybe curse a little bit, but
just a little.
But still be like respectful and like, no, but as you said, the industry's changing, the times are changing, and it has to change. And
it does. Look at all the different ways you can read a book now, or hear a book, or
me here.
Yeah, you hear it. You can read it on an electronic device. You can hold the actual book.
And the different types of stories that are being told now, which I just like, is what has needed to happen for a long time. So there will be bumps in the road, but worth it.
And it's just amazing too, that because like I talk about the fact that you have all these series, that even just to list all the series, and some of them being optioned into TV and all these different things. And then this one is also optioned repeatedly. And we're just going, at some point we would like to see this just so we can actually have our dream casting fulfilled, and we can see, what does Eli look like, and how tall is Lisbeth, and how uncomfortable does she look in a dress when she's like, I'm in Dixie and they make me wear this, but I don't really like this very much. And she's fussing along and doing all that. But the fact that you've been able to, for all these years, crank out a book a year and just have them all sing is just absolutely amazing. So it's like,
thank you.
We are huge fans, and we are so glad that you were able to join us today and talk about these books. And we're just like,
they're amazing. And
thank you.
And Charlaine, I can't tell you how nervous and excited Allison and I have been for, because we've had you booked for a while now, but then this past week, she and I have like ramped up our messages with each other to the point of like almost mania of, I'm so nervous, I'm so excited.
I hope I set you at ease.
No, you're amazing.
You were amazing.
You're amazing.
And a lot of people were like, I've met her before, she's awesome. And I'm like, what if I start crying during the interview?
That has happened to me.
Who's cried? We would like names.
You?
Not a reviewer, but when people would meet me, they would be so tense, and a lot of times, especially women, when we're tense, we cry, not because we're grieving, but because we're so nervous.
Yeah.
It's just, emotions leaking out of our eyeballs.
Exactly. Yes. It's like, my face is wet. Why is my face wet? Why is this happening? So I'm really excited that Allison and I didn't smear our makeup all over our faces. And we're so thrilled that we got to meet you, Charlaine. You're amazing.
You are awesome.
The Gunny Rose series, bravo. Everybody just check out all of Charlaine's work if you are unfamiliar with it. There's 40 something. It's like there's like 42 years.
If you like it, boy, are you in for a good time.
You got plenty. Like if you ever find, I know it's happened where you find an author you like and then you go, I can't find anything else by them. Like they've wrote one book and then decided, being an author is not for me, and then they just stop writing, or maybe something. Heart. Yeah, or maybe it's just you just haven't found another one by them, and you keep checking. If you find Charlaine's books, you've got plenty to work through. So you got that time, and I know some of them are on audio because I listened to the Gunny Rose ones on audio, so you can get them that way. So I know I really liked the narrator you have for that. She did a great job. So I read the arc for Serpent to Heaven. So I don't know if you've got the same narrator because it's Felicia. So did they change narrators?
I don't know. I haven't talked to them about that.
I'm not sure because it would make sense because it's first person. It would make sense if it was slightly younger, and I wonder if she would have an accent slightly different because Lisbeth's from Texoma. And Felicia, well, it's like she's from New Mexico, but now she's been living around mostly Russian people, and she speaks like 3 languages. So
she does. She does. She's gifted that way.
Yeah. She's gifted. And the book just came out yesterday. So
just came out yesterday.
Hey, happy 1 day year old book. So everybody make sure to check it out in whatever format you like. Tell us about the audio narrator if you do the audio. Because we read it with our eyeballs.
Tell us.
So thank you everybody for watching this. If you're watching it live, thank you if you're watching it on the replay. Thank you. Make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube page. Leave us a review if you would like. And we are off next week because it is Thanksgiving. And then we will be back the first week of December. Is it the first week of December? I don't even know anymore.
I think it's December when we get back. Yeah.
I think it's December when we get back.
Right.
Yeah, it does sound right. So
Well,
we will
thank
see
you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Charlaine.
Charlaine.
And we will see you all very soon.
Okay. Bye-bye. If I can find out how to. There we go.
Oh, she's gone.